Ever since Kenny's shop burned about 2 months ago, I've been thinking about fires in the shop. And if you think about fires in the shop, the first thing you got to think about is charging lithium-ion batteries and the bad reputation those things have had. So this old wood stove's going to help with that. Stick around to the end and you'll see some of the things that I did to this old rusty relic that make it a real answer to my problem. And then we solved a bunch of other things that are making me sleep a lot better at night. So my friend Dave Luger, Secret Weapon Dave, you've seen him helping me out all kinds of places, all kinds of times, all kinds of things. I had him come out to just kind of go over this shop and look for the ways that electricity could burn me down. One of the things that was made real clear on Shop Talk at one of our last Shop Talk meetings was that in a wood shop, sawdust packs into fixtures and then the slightest spark takes a hold. So Dave had the excellent idea, this is behind my chop saw, it gets blasted with sawdust. He's going to hang a cover over this, and then he's packing fiberglass just like you do around a window around the perimeter of these. These aren't trimmed out at all, right? So he's just going to reduce the infiltration, put a cover over the ones that take a direct shot, and troubleshoot the whole darn shop. Attaboy, Secret Weapon Dave. So Dave's been just prowling around the shop looking for anything that might cause a heartache. And he's opening up this panel, which is essentially dedicated to the wood shop area, just to have a look at the landings, make sure everything's snugged up in there. He's gone through and labeled things, which is a convenience that I had not made happen. And he's going to open it up and see if there's anything that needs attention. No hot?
No hot.
No hot.
Cold.
Yay. So what's your thought? You're just going to make sure everything's snugged up?
Yep.
Because a loose connection can make a spark. And of course these things have torque settings, but the setting that we usually use is that is not going anywhere. Getting miscellaneous cords up out of harm's way. You know, as much dust as is in that wood shop, and even though the dust in here, in my grinding area, is more metallic, I think it can't be wrong to do some of this. Several friends from our Shop Talk meetings have sent top-tier suggestions for preventing a shop fire, both in email and in phone calls. And for example, I'm reminded and motivated to understand the current draw of the tools in the shop and the capacity of the breakers and the wires and the cords connected to them. I'm thinking again of the urgency of air filtration in the wood shop to reduce the dust and the need to keep the dust off of the radiant heat tubes that are part of various items. And then following up there, keep track of and eliminate static buildup on vacuum hoses and pipes because, you know, static makes sparks. Sparks ignite dust. I need to think about storing flammable liquids safely in some sort of a fireproof box, perhaps. They educated me about the superiority of carbon dioxide fire extinguishers in terms of the collateral damage, because chemical fire extinguishers leave that gritty, fine dust everywhere to the point that it can damage electrical motors and switches and circuits. Never thought of that. I was reminded of fire blankets and their utility and the need to have one where you need it, when you need it, especially in the home kitchen. Now, I know about Firewatch on logging sites, but, you know, Firewatch in a shop after you're done welding probably is important. And generally, situational awareness that keeps you alive on the job site will keep your shop alive if you function that way in your man cave. My first and biggest priority in all of this was and is to create a safe space for charging all of the lithium-ion batteries that we use around here, and the other batteries related to cameras and phones and iPads and, you know, every other thing. And it occurred to me that instead of buying something expensive online, I could probably remodel an old wood stove, because wood stoves contain fire, right? It would probably be bulletproof, and it would probably be free, and sure enough, my friend Steve Atkins came through like a champ. So I figured out right away that however tedious wire brushing the outside of this old thing was, breaking the old fire bricks out of the inside and cleaning up that mess was way worse.
So I'm going to put that stove, now that it's pretty much cleaned out, on this base. I've had this for years. Neil Groves gave it to me. Good use for it. I'm going to paint it Rust-Oleum Sunburst Yellow because we have some on hand and we want to be able to find those batteries. But first, since everything is rusty, I've wire brushed it and I'm going to spray it with Osfo. This does some sort of chemical magic. Explain it to us in the comments, would you?
I was apprehensive that this little stove was in fact going to be too little for the number of chargers and items and, the things that I was hoping to put in here to keep safe. And so I figured out that I needed to put an opening hatch on the top and a shelf inside, so I have 2 levels. And the footprint is not big, but it turned out that it's big enough.
Well, I've got the outside of this kind of structurally done. Got the lid on it, it opens, it closes. I think it'll contain the fire. I got a hole in the back or 2 to bring cords in. But right now I'm going to try to control the nastiness on the inside of scale and rust and baked in corners of fire bricks. It's nasty. So I'm just going to encapsulate it with concrete sealer. Is that the right thing? I don't know. But to tell you the truth, it just doesn't matter. All I want to do is make it not dusty in there. And I think this will do it. What are we doing, Kel?
Safety yellow.
So the batteries are charging, both the big batteries for my cordless tools, the little batteries for cameras and stuff. I've got surge protection on the source. I'm going to run a chimney up here and divert it out so if the fire gets started, it's pushing out away from the plywood. And I got to bolt this thing down. And then what I felt like was my really Achilles heel in my shop is taken care of. Now, I have a couple other things I'm going to do. And I want to thank Bob Ireland, and 2 or 3 people emailed me, and the guys on Shop Talk came with all these Shop Talks, the twice a month Zoom meeting we have with the Essential Craftsman community. Boatloads of information. I have a few things left to do. I've got to check the torque on the landings in my breaker. I've got breaker boxes over there and breaker boxes over here. I've got to torque those lugs, and I'm going to go around with an infrared thermal temperature gun and see if there's any heat gaining. But Secret Weapon Dave took care of a lot of the heavy lifting on the electrical. This thing takes care of my biggest concerns, and so, God willing, I'll be able to keep working in here until they take the excavator and put me in the ground. Because it's been a blow for Kenny, who lost his shop, at least for now. And it's not something that I or my grandkids or my wife want to have to wrestle with. So, due diligence counts, maintenance counts, but what really counts is the counsel and wisdom of your friends. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman.
Keep up the good work.